we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about the Spencer Strider injury for the Atlanta Braves and him being out for the year. So, let's get into it. So I did have a segment on this last week. I'm not sure which day, if it was Friday or Thursday, talking about just him getting injured, but we do know now the full extent of the injury and what is going to be going on with it in the timeline, so let's get into that. So it is going to be, he does have a tear in his UCL as far as we know, but he does not need Tommy John. He needs internal brace surgery, which is a little better. I mean, it can't be better because it's your ACL, your UCL, and for a pitcher, that's your arm, and your arm is everything. The arm is the moneymaker, so it can't be good. But at the same time, it's better than what we thought it was, which was, of course, Tommy John, which would have sidelined him for a long, long time. Now he's only there for a long time, not a long, long time. So the timeline for this is going to be 12 to 14 months, so he is obviously out for the year. I don't think there's any chance he comes back for the year at all, even if they make the World Series. I think there's a 0% chance, but we'll have to see about that. So this was not the best case scenario for the Braves, obviously. We all knew he was going to miss time. We all knew he was going to be out for a significant amount of time. You don't have a sharp decrease in your velocity and your break report soreness in your elbow and then say, oh, I'm fine. That's just not how baseball and pitching works and not how injuries work. So we knew he was going to be out for a long time, but we were all thinking it would be Tommy John. I'm sure Strider himself was thinking, oh, no, I have to do another Tommy John because, yes, he has that Tommy John before. As I said, it's kind of just a thing players are going to have nowadays. If you're a pitcher who pitches professionally, independent league, minor leagues, MLB, you're just going to have Tommy John at some point. It's just what is going to happen. It's your line of work. And, Tyler Glasnow today said he 100% thinks it's worth the risk to throw hard and risk Tommy John every single time. So pitchers obviously don't. Pitchers obviously know what they're getting themselves into, and they know what about that. So, But so he is going to be out 12 to 14 months, which is a significant amount of time. Obviously, he's going to be out all of this year, most likely a few weeks or so for next year. We don't really know how long because it depends on the rehabbing and how long he's out. So that's going to vary for next year as well. But, the impact on the Braves here, I think this is pretty astronomical impact. I don't use that word a lot. It's it's a very big word, obviously. It's a very significant word, but I think it's fair to say that this is a significant thing for the Braves right now and a significant injury for them. I mean, he's their best pitcher. He's one of the better pitchers in baseball. I don't think anyone's arguing that. And you now have him out for the year. That's awful. Right now, your pitching rotation is probably going to be Max Fried, Charlie Morton, Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, and then Ian Anderson. I would think is probably the guy to fill in, but it also could be Bryce Elder. But I'm not sure about him, and I'm not sure what's going on with him and his long-term future for the Braves right now. So, we'll have to see. But I would think it's Ian Anderson right now. So, So going over their rotation right now, you have, of course, Max Fried. Max Fried is great, one of the better pitchers in baseball. I have him as my Cy Young prediction this year, so not really too much things to say about Max Fried that haven't been said. He's an amazing pitcher. Not worried about him leading this rotation. After that, though, you do have Charlie Morton, who is older and has not done great this year, having a 5.29 ERA in the season. Not good whatsoever. Chris Sale is also old and just acquired. Not that great himself, having a 4.58 ERA in the season. Then you have Reynaldo Lopez, who, of course, was a reliever last year, converted to a starter. He has been great, yes, going 2 starts, giving up only having a .75 ERA in 12 innings. But we're not sure how long he's going to be able to sustain that. So in the Braves rotation right now, when Strider gets hurt, I see a lot of question marks. I see Max Fried, a legitimate ace, and then I see Charlie Morton, an old man, and then I see Chris Sale, an old injury-prone man, and Reynaldo Lopez, a question mark, and Ian Anderson, a question mark. So I think the Braves pitching is not great right now, and if I'm them, I'm getting the nearest pitching upgrade immediately. Whoever the top pitcher on the market is, this trade deadline, I'm getting them. Is it going to be Jesus Luzardo? We don't know. Could it be someone else? We're not sure. I would think right now Luzardo is the most likely guy to be traded, but as you know, there are a few things with that. One, he hasn't been great to start the season. I don't think the Braves have the prospect pool for that, and it's also in division. So I don't know if the Braves have the prospect talent to acquire a frontline starting pitcher right now. I just don't think they do. So that's also going to be a big factor. And our team's going to want to trade with the Braves because they know how good they are. So they already got outbid for Dylan Cease by the Padres because, again, they didn't have enough prospects. So that's a big effect. And you didn't sign Jordan Montgomery. You didn't sign Blake Snell. I was really shocked you didn't sign one of these guys. I mean, the only pitching addition you had was Chris Sale after the reason you were out of the playoffs the past 2 years in the first round because of pitching. Yeah, you signed Reynaldo Lopez, but that's kind of a cop-out. He's a reliever. You're turning into a starter. So I was really surprised the Braves didn't have more pitching additions. I thought they should have, and now their pitching is dire strengths. I mean, I think there's a lot of good teams in the NL East right now, and if you have another pitcher just get hurt, because Charlie Morton and Chris Sale both really old, if one of them gets hurt, who are you going to have in the rotation left? The Mets are lurking. They've been really, really hot. The Phillies are always lurking. They're a really, really good team. Nationals and Marlins, obviously, you don't have to worry about, but there's two great teams in that division, and I think if the Braves suffer another major injury, it could lead to the door opening for one of these teams to take the NL East from them for this year. And also that, going into the playoffs, how confident you feel with a Chris Sale or a Charlie Morton being your Game 2 starter. I don't know if I'd feel very confident in that. You're playing the best in the playoffs. You're playing the best pitchers, the best hitters, fighting through injury, everyone is. So I don't know how I feel right now if I'm a Braves fan. I think the impact for Strider being hurt on them is pretty big. I think they need to win another World Series with the score really soon, and they've been embarrassed the past 2 seasons in the playoffs, and their pitching is in dire strengths right now. They don't have a lot of depth. They're relying on guys I wouldn't want to rely on if I was a Braves fan. So, yeah. Right now, you need to find a pitching addition. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know where you're going to find them, but you need it, and you need it soon. So, yeah, if I'm a Braves fan or I'm a Braves executive, I'm worried. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'd be worried right now. The Braves have a lot of question marks, right? They have to answer, and Strider being hurt only magnifies that. So I just don't understand, going back to the offseason now, why you couldn't add another starting pitcher. Yeah, you traded for Chris Sale, but the Red Sox are eating some of that contract. Reynaldo Lopez wasn't even much. You had guys like Blake Snell, like Jordan Montgomery, on the mound on the free agent market, taking short-term contracts. You're telling me you couldn't have given Montgomery what the Diamondbacks gave him? Really? You couldn't have given him that 2 years, $50 million, really 1 year, 25? You make a lot of money, man. Like, the Braves make a lot of money from streaming, from their ballpark, from their team, from jersey sales. So also, all your players are locked into short-term deals. I mean, not short-term, but not as big contracts because you extend them so early. So I think you should have spent more money this offseason. I think that's evident now. I think you should have had more additions to the pitching staff. I still don't know why you didn't. So, yeah, if I'm a Braves fan, I'd still be mad at Alex Anthopoulos for that. Yes, he's made a lot of good moves over his course as Braves general manager, but the pitching's the one thing I think he needs to improve on. And going into the playoffs, I don't know how confident I feel in having Charlie Morton and Chris Sale as my 2 and 3 starters. I don't feel very confident in that. I think there's a lot of great teams in the NL, and I think a lot of great teams are going to have a better pitching staff than you. If you're playing the Padres, for example, who I had as the team in the 6th seed, you have to, first of all, put Max Fried up against their ace, who is probably going to be Dylan Cease, I'd say. Is Fried over Cease? Yeah, I'd say so. So that's a better pitching matchup there. But then you have Charlie Morton and Chris Sale versus Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish. I'd lead the Padres there. Then the Padres also have Michael King. They also have Matt Waldron, who are quality starters. You have Reynaldo Lopez and Ian Anderson. So the pitching depth right now for the Braves is not good. I don't think the pitching overall for the Braves is not. I think the pitching overall for the Braves is not good, and I'd be worried right now. I won't lie. I'd be worried if I'm a Braves fan. I'd be worried about the future. And speaking of the future, for next year, Max Fried is a free agent, and from everything we've heard, Ken Rosenthal said it on his podcast, Max Fried is not expected to come back to the Braves. It seems like right now, if the Braves can't extend you on a team-friendly contract early in your career, they're not re-signing you. They didn't do it with Dansby. They let Freddie Freeman walk, who even agreed on one, so they're just letting talent walk. And I think that's going to be the same with Fried now. He's probably going to look to a West Coast team. I don't know if West Coast teams have money, maybe the Giants, but I think he could go there. He could go to a team that needs pitching next year, maybe like the Mets, maybe like the Yankees. Sorry for the lights again. I thought I fixed it. Nope. I promise you this will not be an issue next time. I can promise you. So, yeah, they'll come back soon. I promise to the two people watching here and all the people on audio. Again, you can't see this, but you can tell it's frustrating me. So, yeah, I think next year, if for Strider, when he is out, we don't know how long he's going to be out. It could be weeks, it could be months, depends on his rehab. You're not going to have Fried most likely, so you're going to be relying on Strider as your ace. And you could sign someone, yes, but Rays haven't shown that they're willing to sign people to big contracts so far. So, well, why would they change that approach next year? So, if Strider's going to be out for a little bit of next year, you don't know what's going to happen with his rehab and what's going to happen next year. Fried's going to be gone. What does your rotation look like? I think that's a big impact on next year and a big impact on what you could do. So, that's another thing you have to see, and another thing you have to worry about for next year. After that, the pitching injuries. We've talked about it a lot now, but it's an epidemic. Pitchers getting injured like nobody's business. They're dropping like flies, and Strider's another impact on that. I think until pitchers learn how to pace themselves with their velocity, with their break, throwing the baseball, it's going to keep happening, and it's going to be a continual issue in baseball. So I made a whole segment on it. If you want to watch that, it's on the channel. Please go check it out. I think I did well during it. So, yeah. That is it for our third segment here, talking about Spencer Strider being out for the year for the Atlanta Braves. I again apologize about the lights issue. I don't know why this keeps happening, but it should be fixed. So, yeah, we'll be going to our fourth and final segment, which is going to be talking about some news around the league. There was one main news story, which we'll talk about a little bit at the start and kind of be the forefront of that. But, yeah, just a lot of news and talking about that. So, thank you and bye. See you after that. Thanks.